Man, man's done. Man's done going easy on people, bro. Straight smoke. Here we go. Here's our special guest, Lemzi. Here we go. He's just joining. Yeah, what's up, Mario? What's up, Sophie? Lemzi, how you
What's
doing, man?
good? I'm good, man. How you doing? I was just seeing how you're saying there's no holes barred.
Yeah, straight smoke. Straight
Yeah,
smoke.
cool, man. I'm with the smoky behavior. What are you saying, though, man? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How's everything been going in London, man?
Oh, where you at?
I'm abroad at the moment, but I'll be back in London soon. But I know obviously things are easing up and stuff, right?
Yeah. So literally, I've just come back from West now, and today's probably the busiest the tube has been for a long time. Literally, everyone's sitting right next to each other, so things seem like they're getting back to normal. Stuff like cinemas are open again, restaurants and that you can go inside, etc. So yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there.
Yeah,
But the weather's crap.
yeah. So you do events though as well, right?
Yeah, that's right, man. I do a few different events. I do one called Hidden Gems Live, where we did our first online show yesterday. And that's like just a platform for independent artists, emergent artists, all that kind of stuff. And the other one is more of an intimate one called In Facts that I run with Amelia Poems. And we turned that into a podcast at the beginning of this year. So yeah, we're looking to do them both simultaneously in the very near future. But yeah, that's what's up with those two, man.
How did you find it taking everyone online? To, how did that work yesterday? The performance yesterday.
It was
Like,
yeah, it was different in terms of like the rollout that we had to do, the way we were trying to get people on board, because essentially what we created was almost like a TV show. Like we had produced it before and then uploaded it. So then it was on at a live time. So it's kind of like tune into EastEnders at 8 p.m. on a Friday or whatever. But this was tune into Hidden Gems Live at 8 p.m. because, yeah, from all of the Instagram live performances and all of those things that had happened in the first lockdown, I just knew for myself, I was like, this ain't it. This ain't really how I want to kind of represent the brands that I'm working on. And also, I want to try and maintain what we have been doing with the live events for the artists as well. I wanted them to just be like, cool, there's some real value and like a real step in doing this still. So yeah, that's what we were trying to instill
now
still,
it's
yeah.
come down to the sort of, like you said, things are opening up, things are getting a little bit better.
Mm.
How's the past year or so been for you as an artist and as an individual?
That's good that you separated the two, because the two have had quite different journeys, despite the fact obviously it's all still me. As an artist, last year was pretty difficult, if I'm honest. I
Mm.
think because 2019 for me, and even the first third, the first quarter of 2020 was still very much on point. Like the last thing that I remember doing was a performance in Amsterdam, and then we came back and did another one in London, and then about a week later, I had the final influx before lockdown, and then a few days later, it was lockdown. Which I think at the beginning we all anticipated it might just be 2-3 weeks and we can all get back to normal or whatever. And then when it turned into months, I just remember feeling like the Lemzi persona, the artist, the creative, was so um, disincentivized. Like there was nothing that was really getting me going. So I wasn't writing very much. I wasn't really contacting people too much in that world of things. So yeah, I was finding it quite difficult until around August, September, where I finally kind of got myself going again. There was a producer from Manchester, in fact, that hit me up with a load of different beats throughout that time. And it was really, he was one of the catalysts for me to actually start writing and just be productive with music again. Because as I said, I kind of lost it for a little bit throughout last year. But since September, I've been working on this app. I've also been back in the studio a little bit more. And I've kind of got like a backlog of music that I'm just churning out. Like every month, you're going to get a new single, despite what the response is, whatever the promo, whatever in my head. I'm just like, cool, just release. Because from having a year and a bit of not doing that, for me, that's just the goal, just to get it out. And then I can start fresh when I've got like a more cohesive idea of what I want to really put out.
So what was it about the lockdown in itself that kind of separated you as an artist and as an individual? Is it the limitations that were in place, or is it the creative side of it, or what?
It was the limitations were one thing, were a really big thing actually. Let me not even lie, because I had got into a pattern of going to studio very frequently. Like I'm in there at least once a week, twice a week, just knowing that that's my routine. I was also working with young people, so I was going to different schools, crews, colleges, whatever it was at the time. So I had a routine of what I was doing, even going to the gym. Like I knew when I was going to the gym, all that stuff. As soon as lockdown came, it kind of meant just everything got eviscerated very, very quickly. So creatively, my biggest outlet is live performances, whether it's the ones I'm hosting or when I go to perform myself. And with them gone, it just felt like, oh man, like the incentive for me to write and create something and be inspired when I'm having very limited experiences. I'm just in my house or going for walks. Like I don't feel there's a lot that I really want to talk about. That's what really hindered me from expressing myself creatively and artistically. Then from a personal angle, there was just different things that were going on in my life, whether it was different dynamics with people that I know. As I said, even stuff like going to the gym and my physical self, I wasn't able to do that as consistently as I wanted to. Or when I changed it to home workouts, it's a different type of pattern that I was doing. So yeah, just a lot of adapting, which took probably a bit longer than I was thinking it would. And that's probably what made me feel the way I was, because it was a big mental battle for me at that point in time.
So what do you think about the shift from everything going online to the stage of where people are, especially DJs, for example,
Mm.
DJ Instagram Live, people moving to Twitch TV, people moving to Mixcloud, Facebook, etc., people doing interviews like this. What's your opinion on that? And do you think it's going to continue on more, or is it going to go straight back to performances, or is it going to be like a hybrid of both?
I think we're going to see a hybrid. And I think for a lot of people, it's funny because someone from the app that I'm building today, he was like, yeah, I just want to get back into like going to offices and being in those work environments. But he was like, so many of my friends don't want to do that at all. They don't want to be around people. And I think because there's going to be such a mix between what people want, we're going to see a lot of DJs who stick to just like the comfort of their rooms or wherever they are in the studio, giving you sick mixes online. But then they might do a show as well. Something like Hidden Gems Live, for instance. I want to try and make that a hybrid. So we definitely go live again, which is always my main thing. But then there is something amazing about being able to provide people with something that's accessible whenever they want to look at it as well. So I think we will see a hybrid. And I think it's good that people have adapted because, yeah, it's not been easy for any of us, especially creatives. Like even the way the government's kind of like dealt with us as independent contractors and stuff like that, it's not been great in it. So,
And so, talk to me about the podcast. You said it's almost like a spin-off of the events. So, what sort of stuff do you guys talk about, and why did you decide to do it?
yeah, because me and Amelia, like, we're good friends anyway. So we usually link up, just have a long chat about whatever it is, relationships, politics, whatever. And because we're both quite communicative people and we've already been doing the event, and the event in itself, it usually started with some form of discussion, whether it was an interview or a live discussion, a live debate with everyone who was there. Sorry. We just thought, okay, this is a very easy medium to translate into a long form podcast, essentially. So maybe the artists that would have performed, we'll get them to come on to the podcast, we'll have a conversation with them, and then maybe get some sort of musicality out of them as well, if it feels like it's right. Like we did one with a guest called Lisha, who was on the rap game on BBC before.
Oh,
And yeah. And the conversation was just a really nice, easy flowing conversation. So it didn't feel necessary to then put her on the spot. But all right, and if you go over there and just perform a song for us and da 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 da. But I feel for both of us, we want to just be able to like highlight artist character a bit more. Because as I said, throughout this last year, it's very easy as me to see like the separation between when I'm like full creative mode and when it's just me and my normal self mode. So it's great for us to be able to be like the platform for you to see more of artist's normal self mode as well.
do you think there's a common attribute all artists have that come on your podcast? Because, for example, I do a podcast, but I make it an issue of not having artists on there because I deal with artists
Mm,
so much, radio and stuff like that. Otherwise, I don't want it to just turn into a radio interview. So I try to
yeah,
get a few different sorts of people on there.
yeah.
Do you think there's like a common theme or a common attribute when artists come on? Each artist, the way that they think, and the rest, it always appears in the podcast.
So far we've only had Leisha as the guest, but when I think about the events we've done, they've always been themed around something, whether it's International Women's Month or mental health for men in November, because that's November time. So we always theme it around that. So the artists we get on, we always think, cool, we feel you're going to represent that idea or that notion quite well. And because there's a theme, we know that these artists, like, they have more to say than just, I'm the best singer in the world, I'm the best rapper in the world, I'm the best spoken artist person in the world. So the idea of the podcast is to delve more into those concepts and narratives a bit more, which, yeah, hopefully we get back in and start doing that again very soon. But yeah, that's the idea for the podcast. That's what we're running with.
And one of the things you mentioned there is International Women's Day. And I
Mm.
know is it like a campaign called Stand By Her?
Yeah.
So
So literally about to start the training for that next week. Sorry, man.
yeah,
Say
so
that
tell me
again.
because I did get a little bit of an overview of it, but I was interested to hear your perspective of it and what it involves.
Yeah. So from what I've been told, because the training actually starts next week, but so from what I've been told, Stand By Her is essentially a campaign that's created by women who will then train a group of males who will then go on and train other males in terms of understanding and being aware of and also intervening in stuff like harassment on the street or subjugation that women face, and just getting more understanding of what that looks like and what that really entails for them.
Do you
So
think?
yeah.
Okay, okay. The reason why I did read about it a little bit. One of the things
Mm,
which was interesting was women are going to teach men, and then men are going to teach other men.
teach
Is that
men.
correct?
Yeah.
Right. So my thing is, um, I understand the cause, but I'm a little bit skeptical of that chain. And the reason why I
Mm,
say that is because, from my knowledge of women, it seems that what women say and what they want are quite two different things. They're quite opposite. Um, First of all, like, harassment is not good. Just to clarify, just in case
yeah.
someone's going to misinterpret it and try and cancel me.
Yeah.
But my thing is that the best way to do things? Because I don't know about you yourself, but I feel like in those situations, I feel like I'd probably listen more intently and take on board more key stuff from guys who are talking about that, as opposed to women who have trained guys what to say.
Okay, so in your idea,
Mm.
with the guys who would speak to you about it, where would they derive their information from?
Yeah, yeah, from women. I understand that, but I don't know. I don't know how do women feel comfortable telling these stories to men, and then like it's the I don't know what it is, but it's like the chain is something. Not that I'm disputing it, but
Yeah,
something slightly off somewhere in the sense of why is it that there's like three parts, right? So there's women who are
go
going
on.
to tell men,
Hmm.
and men are going to tell it to other men. Why is
Hmm.
that middleman needed? That's not what I'm understanding.
Because the presumption, and unfortunately, well, not even unfortunately, this is just real in a lot of circumstances. There's a lot of bias when information is passed between people. And
Right.
from, I think, previous campaigns they may have tried to run, or even just research that they've done, they've seen that people, whether it's man to man, woman to woman, black person to black person, whatever it is, people seem to take on information or receive information better when it's given to them by someone that they can relate to even more. So something
Yeah,
like
I
this,
understand.
peer to
Mm.
peer, is better delivered, I should say, from a male to male. So when I get trained or when I get informed on certain other things, I'll probably be talking to other young males as well, rather than even, I'll probably talk to any guys who, I feel will listen, but I know that I'll be scheduled to talk, for instance, at college with other young males there. And it's not to say, okay, cool, Lemzi, you've had these sessions, you know everything about it. Go out and spread the word like on your own. I'll probably have people that come with me, just we deliver it together, but I would lead it, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it starts by us listening and then delivering. That's how I've interpreted the whole thing. And I also feel that me doing this is not necessarily me going out to try and change everything. If anything, it's for me to gain more awareness myself, and then where I
Okay.
can make any kind of difference to do so.
Mm. Have you ever had these kind of experiences where women tell you their stories of um, incidents where they've had harassment issues and stuff like that, and you've taken it in a way where you think, oh, okay, I didn't think it was that big of a deal? Or have you taken it in the way of Jesus Christ? Is that what it looks like from your end?
Both, yeah, both. I've literally had times where I thought, okay, like I wouldn't have seen it as an issue, or I would have even done maybe what the man had done, thinking it's not a bad thing, which is also
Mm.
why I'm like, okay, there's definitely stuff that I'm not aware of here. And there's other times where, of course, I've spoken to women and they've told me something, I've been like outraged that that's even a thing. Like even with what I'm doing now, I had a conversation yesterday, I think it was, yeah. And the girl I was talking to, she was like, how often would you say that this, when it comes to harassment or violence or anything like that, how often do you believe that that happens to women? Like the conversations you've had. And I said, to be honest with you, it's subjective. Different women will experience different things in a volume, but the range I said was anything from every so often to multiple times in a day. And me as a guy, I don't experience it. Like not really. I don't think I could say a handful of times maybe in my life kind of thing. And even just the disparity in that volume, I know that there's a lot of stuff that I'm probably not seeing or aware of, which makes me feel like, okay, I should probably get more intel. And also caveat, I should probably say the reason why I even have interest in this is because my mum works in this sector as well. So it's kind of in my periphery already, and it's given me a little bit of an insight and an understanding and just a desire, I guess, to know a little bit more for myself rather than just indirectly through her.
Mm. Well, that's interesting. No, I'm just taking
Yeah,
it
yeah,
all.
no, it's cool, man.
Because I'm someone who have sisters. I have a lot of sisters. So, but they've never had a conversation with me about times where they might have been harassed or anything like that. So I don't know if that's because they're
Mm.
not having those with me, or it's because it doesn't happen to them that often.
I think
But
that's an interesting point because I've
yeah,
I've never had that conversation with my sisters, and even if it was my mum, it'd be the work that she's doing. I don't know anything about what she may have personally gone through. It's usually women that I've become friends with, or we develop some form of relationship, or even we just met, but it's in the right circumstance and setting where they feel comfortable enough to express it. But I do feel there is a degree of separation that needs to happen sometimes for these conversations to really like open up and develop. Like having it with your sister, I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine it's difficult. I've never had that conversation with my sisters because I got two younger sisters as well. But I would hope they know that they can talk to me if that is something that they are, especially consistently going through.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, because at the moment, obviously, a lot of things are going on in society with topics like this,
Mm,
and to me, it's a little bit unusual because to me, obviously, that's not really my experience. The women that I know, it's not their experience, or like I said, they haven't spoken to me about it. And the guys I know, who I consider my friends, don't behave like that. So I'm like,
mm,
there's a group of guys that I hang around with, and they don't behave like that. And then there's the females I know, and they're not telling me or not experiencing things to that degree,
mm,
or they're not taking it to a way where it's traumatizing them in any kind of way.
mm.
So to me, I'm just quite curious about this kind of topic because I'm like, is this maybe a little bit naive? I'm like, this is really going on. I don't know, especially guys. I can't really speak for the women, so I always say I don't know guys who behave like this,
Yeah,
especially at
same.
the age. Like I don't
That's
know
yeah,
these. Yeah, I don't know guys who are like grabbing girls in the street and this and that. I don't know guys like that. I mean, when I was like
yeah,
16, I like shout to a girl in it, but you're a teenager in it. Like it's
yeah, yeah.
not
Yeah.
really
You're
interesting,
still learning. Yeah, at that age, especially,
right?
you're still learning. But even with this, it's more than just the shouting at a woman in the street or touching her physically. Because if we relate it to race or something, it's not just somebody calling you by the N word out on the street, or it's not somebody who's just declined you of a job blatantly because of what you look like. It's a lot of the microaggressions that come before that, whether it is maybe you have been rejected for a job, but they wouldn't say why. And it's only because you've had references from other people that have applied for the same thing where you're like, oh, this has developed into a pattern. Then it's not just me who's kind of gone through this because it can be small stuff. Like it can be very small stuff. If, a woman walks into an office and someone says, oh, that's a really nice shirt. And, it's just, that could be a really good compliment for most people. But if 5, 6, 7, 8 different people are saying that to you, and in a way that you're not really there to take it like that, you're just there to do your job, and then all of a sudden 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people are telling you your shirt, maybe because whatever it might be, it develops into, or it can anyway, develop into a way of interpreting it of, I'm uncomfortable now. Like, I just want to get on with what I'm doing. I don't want this to become why someone might give me a raise, or someone might want me to do work with them because they like what I look like, or they like my appearance when I come to work, etc. It's these kind of things that I'm more thinking about and more trying to learn, because there's the obvious ones, as you mentioned, which, as you said at the beginning, harassment like that. Just no, I don't know anyone who does that myself, innit? But I don't know if there's stuff that there are people that I know do, or even me occasionally maybe do, that could be an issue.
So this is going to sound like a bit of a left question, but like the thing you mentioned in the office and complimenting a shirt, etc., something like that, to something simple like that. Would you say that those kind of things, we know that people get involved with people who they work with, you know, office environment, quite a common thing. So where does it go from? Does that affect almost not just dating, but showing some form of interest, some sort of romantic interest, getting that started with those things in place? Do you think it puts another level of barrier on it? There's been inappropriate, and then there's receptive, like flirting, which is reciprocal. So
yeah,
it might, if things are getting reciprocated, obviously it classifies as, you know, consensual or platonic or however you want to put it. But is it when it's not like consensual in that kind of way, or not back and forth, then it kind of looks like it looks. Do you see where I'm going?
I know. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. And the honest answer is I don't know, and I think it is case by case, because I don't know if you've seen Joe Biden's podcast, and then the woman, I think Olivia Dean, who left. She was on his network with a podcast, and she left because she said there was a lot of sexual harassment within an episode of when she was working, when Joe came on the podcast. And me watching it, because I've watched a lot of Joe Biden podcasts and I've seen his character, I'm like, okay, you're being very performative. You're like saying stuff that you shouldn't say, because it is weird and it will make people uncomfortable. But then when I see her reaction to it and how she's interpreted everything that has been said and why she's left, etc., she's very valid in her feelings. So I'm like, okay, there's so many ways that this can be a misstep, and things can either be misinterpreted or misconstrued, or actually just be not the thing to say. And it's only when, like, you're told, okay, this is a bit much, sometimes, that we actually know, okay, this is a bit much. It may affect dating, or it may just... Say again, sorry?
Everyone's interpretation is different. So your interpretation... But like, even if you have a conversation with a guy, and to you it's banter, and to him it's not banter. Do you know what I mean? And that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's perceiving it, and you're perceiving it another way. So the problem that we have is that everyone has different perceptions of everything, apart from the blatant things that we spoke about. So to me, it's like, it's so like miscued. It just depends person to person, to situation. It's hard to really get a pin on it, really. So I think that's where the kind of it comes.
Yeah, I think I know. I agree with you, because everything is quite subjective. However, I think with a couple steps back, there's a few things that, though they may seem subjective, all of a sudden become a bit more like, this is an issue on a wider scale for a lot of people. In this particular case, women. I can't think of a particular example now, but I'm sure there's like certain things that you or I might think are very normal.
For example, I'm sure, like, I've had situations myself where I've explained something to someone, if they're like, nah, that doesn't seem like racist. And I'm like, well, it's not like this. It's not because of this. It's not because of this. It's not because of this. What's left? You know what I mean? I'm just trying to get to I don't want to go there. Look at all these situations. It's not because of any of these things. And I like to just put them up to, you know, John Smith and Rob White. So John Smith is doing exactly what I'm doing, but somehow John Smith is cool and I'm not cool. Like, I don't get, you know what I mean? So that's how I try to like that, because I'm a sort of person who likes to just go straight to that kind of thing. Especially, you know, you don't like to think that in the kind of society we live in, that kind of stuff still blatantly exists or passively aggressive exists. But it's interesting to see it from perspective. But I was quite. I mean, I've gone completely off topic, but it was something that I
No,
really
no, it's
wanted to
cool,
talk,
man.
because we talk about dating a lot on our podcast and relationships and stuff, and some of the guys I speak to feel like now, those who are single, things are so technical now, they want to be extra careful, where they don't want to even be put in the same bracket, because once you've been put in a bracket of saying that you're harassing a woman, or this went a bit left and this and this and this, that's a hard thing to shake off your name.
Yeah,
So
100.
even if it's just a miscommunication or anything like that. So I mean, I have guys saying to me, sometimes they just, keep text messages just to make sure, and this and this, and to make sure that if it goes left, they don't want to seem like it's gone the other way, because in those situations, if sort of charges are brought against someone,
Yeah,
it's guilty until you're proven innocent, and that's kind of my
yeah.
beef. I'm not disputing anyone's situation, and I'm not denying things happen or haven't happened, but especially in this kind of society, in this kind of era we're at, it's very much like, you're guilty, you're guilty. Like for example, we're talking about the Noel Clark situation. I don't know what happened with Noel Clark. I don't know what they've put on the paper, right? So to me, I'm like, okay, to everyone, he's guilty. He's guilty straight away. Guilty straight away. I mean, it looks bad, I'm not going to lie, but it's guilty straight away. Do you know what I mean? And if that was me and I'm put in a situation of being put on the front of newspapers, someone calling me a predator, and I've been accused, I haven't been charged, that's like putting someone on there, and this guy's a murderer, but he hasn't been proven to be a murderer. Do you know what I mean? I still feel like there's people jump straight away to that, and it can ruin careers.
Yeah. So would you say for you, you remain as objective as possible until it's gone through the court proceedings and then someone has been charged for something? Okay, that's interesting.
And I think because for me, I don't know this guy. I've worked with him. I might have interviewed him at a press thing before, but I don't know his personality. I don't know his character. But I know whatever he's been accused of is bad from that perspective. But I like to go off facts or someone's charge. I'll give you this is a very, very simple example. I had a big discussion with someone else. So Chris Brown, had that whole thing with Rihanna. He went to jail, etc. Right now, Charlie Sheen, who's the guy from 2.5 Men, he's has multiple domestic charges against him, domestic violence against multiple of his ex-wives and stuff like this. But whenever someone speaks of Chris Brown, it's always he hit Rihanna. But when someone speaks of Charlie Sheen, that's not the first thing they're saying. Do you see what I mean? And I'm like, they're two different situations, but it's domestic violence. And the difference between Chris Brown, someone who's done something, who has gone to jail for that, who has actually even kind of put it to bed to some degree with the woman in question, is still going on to that. And I spoke about my podcast, yet someone who's consistently done it, consistently with different women, it's not really like that. And I just found that to be a bit unusual. And I don't know, when I was talking about that, I thought maybe, is that to do with some sort of demographic of he's an actor and he's a black rapper? I don't know. Maybe,
I would say so. I think there's a lot of cultural implications when it's something like that. If we're talking about those two gentlemen in particular, I think there is a perspective of Chris Brown that that thing has tarnished him for the rest of his life. And though he has gone through the due processes of going to prison, going through the courts, etc., that's something that's just going to stay with him forever. I think maybe the reason that Charlie Sheen might not have those, it's not accolades, attributes attached to his name like that is simply because, the demographic or the culture that usually talks about Charlie Sheen will probably look at it they'll probably say stuff like mental health, or that he was on drugs, or maybe it's not as huge an issue in certain other cultures or demographics. I don't know, if I'm totally honest with you, because I don't ever really hear Charlie. It's like you bringing up Charlie Sheen's name now is the first time I heard it in years, kind of thing. So I think it probably is cultural, more than anything. But I wouldn't attest to that just because I don't know either. I don't know.
Yeah, I just think it's an interesting situation, because it's just I just think, look, my perspective on everything is that there's not just one. There's two sides to everything, as I'm sure you agree. So a lot of the times of what's happening at the moment, we're hearing one side of everything until the second side comes out, and when that one side comes out, it's straight away boom, throw him to the wolves. and that
Do you
doesn't really
know?
sit well with.
Do you know what? With the no Clark example,
Mm.
I think it's easy to say there's two sides to a story because there's no Clark side and then there's the other side. But we have to, from what we've seen or what I've seen anyway so far, the other side is voiced by a plethora of people. It's not like no Clark and one person who's saying something. It's 20 plus different people or different institutions that are all saying a very, very similar string of things have happened or they bear witness to it or experienced it, etc. So that's where things do skew away from him. And that's where it's like, okay, cool. Me using my own initiative, I would say, yeah, cool. I feel like this definitely is against him. Um, and for me personally, I don't really wait until someone's been charged, if I'm totally honest. Like, same thing with you though. I try and deduce the facts. However, it's always in a court of law based on someone trying to prove something beyond reasonable doubt. And if from all the sources that I see, if I invest myself in something, that is, because I'm not invested in no Clark situation, but if I invest myself in that, and from all the sources I see, for me, it's beyond reasonable doubt that this situation has happened in X way, then that's enough for me. I don't know if everyone else does that because there is now the court of public appeal, which is social media essentially, like, and maybe some people do jump on it way quicker than they should do without any real discernment. But yeah, as I said at the beginning, like the two sides to every story, it's usually about who's speaking on which side, which has to be discerned. So what are the sources and facts on both sides? If one side is just no Clark and the other side is 20 plus women, then okay,
Yeah,
listen to, like, pay attention, because if it was one on one, yeah, cool, 50-50, but
yeah,
this is skewed in a different way.
yeah. It's not an isolated incident.
Mm.
Yeah, and I can hear that. It's just interesting to see as well. I mean, yeah, it's I just stay away from everyone, man, and it's
Is that why you're not in London right now?
stay away from everyone. Don't to me it's simple. But I've been brought up in a different time. To me, just no or I'm not on it. Is that in it? And I'm not really trying to get any kind of situation. You know, I understand that's what that means, and that's cool, and I have to keep it
Mm.
moving. However, that being said, I did see something interesting the other day, which was a tweet put out by I don't know, some girl basically. I don't know who she was, and she was essentially saying that how come guys don't make the effort anymore? Like, why is it? Well, I've said no, but you still have to try. And I thought that was quite damaging, putting out that kind of message, especially in the
Mm.
time that we're in, because I don't believe in hard to get. If someone's not on it, you're not on it, and we're done. Because especially in these kind of times, because you don't want any to be any miscommunication, any misinterpretation, and putting
Mm.
out something like that puts out a bit of the wrong message. And all that, if you read the comments on this thing, it was like hundreds, and I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of guys were like, "Yeah, because I don't want to catch a case. I don't want hundred. I don't want to see anything. I don't want to. I don't want to have any kind of situation. I'm not gonna force myself. And why is it about
Yeah.
validation? Is it about this? Is it about that? And it's just quite interesting because we're seeing a massive divide at the moment between men and women, quite
Mm.
substantially. And I feel like it's because women don't understand men and men don't really understand women. And this is where the disconnect is, you know. So it's just interesting.
Yeah,
But
that's one of the reasons why I'm embarking on this campaign, because I think one of the things, first of all, is like, say what that girl said on Twitter, like generalize it into say men don't know how to da, 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 da. It's like, you've already done the wrong thing or said the wrong thing, because in my head it's the men you've had engagements with or the men you spoke, like, men generally are such a diverse group, women generally are such a diverse group, like there's, yeah, you know what I mean, there's pockets of us in different fields, and as we even explained with the Chris Brown and Charlie Sheen thing, culturally. But yeah, so I think I lost you for a second, but what was I saying?
about
Yeah, I lost my
Chris
trail of
Brown
thought, I
and
can't lie.
yeah,
Yeah, but
I
I
think
had a point behind it. Oh yeah,
there are
yeah, sorry, I was just,
yeah, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, sorry, just about that whole trying to gain more understanding understanding. That is essentially what this campaign is for. It's not necessarily to lambast people or to be like, all right, as soon as man enters room, man is wrong and man does this and da 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 da. Da. It's more like, cool, we women probably speak amongst each other and already have these conversations, are so aware of this and tired of speaking amongst ourselves that we just want you guys to listen to this and hear what we have to say. Similar, if we did want to put it in a racial way, it's like, cool, how many times do we, you, me, other people, how we have to have these conversations of there's police brutality, or we feel that the law justice system is skewed against us, even with stuff like Form 69, all of these things that you, I, other people in the Black community are so privy to. Cool, we can have this conversation, but it's endearing if that conversation goes on ears outside who may be able to have some influence beyond just them as well. And so that's kind of how I see this campaign that I'm about to start doing, and why I think it's important, just to gain that initial understanding.
Do you think there's, actually, let me ask you and then let me say what I think. Do you think that there's certain people who are trying to monetize on these issues at the moment as well for their own personal gain?
Did you want to answer first, or do you want me to say?
No, I'll let you say first. Man.
Okay. Yeah, I think because we live in like a neoliberal capitalist society, unfortunately, every single thing can be exploited, whether it's the most innocent intention or creation. Unfortunately, a lot of these things can just be exploited for personal gain. So, yep, you will see that. I don't really know of any myself. Maybe I'm just blind, but I haven't really seen any.
Multiple people on social media who seem to just utilize this to their gain to turn into, I am now an ally for women. And I'm like, really? Is that your narrative you've been pushing prior to this? Or is this the narrative you're now pushing now? Because it helps you get the bag. So, and I don't really, with perfectly honest, like, I don't really rate men like that. The reason why I don't rate men like that is because you're so flippy floppy. It shows the lack of and if you're someone who's never been about this and now all of a sudden you're about this, I feel like you're just jumping on the bandwagon and it's not what you truly believe. And knowing some of these people, or being in some of these circles of seeing how these people behave, they are not, their actions don't show what they say that they're about. And some of these guys are big influencers with big numbers and ticks and stuff like that. So it's for me personally, I'm never going to pretend I'm someone that I'm not. If I wasn't speaking about it before, chances are I won't speak again, unless it's personal to me or some of my inner circle, because I feel like that's the only way I can give unfiltered, real opinions on it. Because I talk about Susan from East London or Mary from North London or whoever. Like, I don't know them people, so I can't talk about their experiences because it's not my place to talk about their experience. So it's just more about who I interact with, who I know, and that's kind of shapes my reality, really. So I don't know if that's positive or negative, but that's just how I see it, to be honest.
I think it's just real, isn't it? Like, I don't think there's necessarily an onus on you to jump out of your bag and become Mr. Ambassador for every single thing in the world, because there are so many things happening anyway. As I said to you, the caveat, my mum is in this world, which is probably why I have an affinity towards it anyway. And yeah, for me, I just want to get, as I said, like, this is for me more than anything. It's not because I want to be some vigilante on the street saving people, but I do want to get more awareness of this and more understanding for myself. And then if I can impart that, cool. But yeah, even when you said on socials, I was like, okay, cool, because I'm not really on I'm on Instagram and that's about it now. Because same thing with you, like the sentiment that I seem to have when I like go onto Twitter, or when I used to go onto Twitter especially, was just like, there's so many fake narratives here. Like, there are so many trend hoppers and it just doesn't make sense. You said the perfect word, integrity. And if it's not you, it's not you. Like, and that's absolutely fine. You don't have to fight, as I said, for every single cause. Get informed on it first, and then if it resonates, then speak on it, is probably the best form of action, or what I try and stand by anyway. But yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right. There are people that are going to jump on this kind of thing, because this thing I'm doing is voluntary, for instance, but like this type of thing that can be monetized and people can see it as maybe a career path or some form of get in the bag.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Anyway, we should be talking about the single. Anyway, the single was like that, but I really wanted
Solutions. Brrr. Do you know what's
I really
funny though?
wanted
Yeah.
to is like I really want to speak to you about that because it was interesting because I've seen so much. So I'm like, let me check if this guy's about what he says he's about. But first of all, let me just shout out. So shout out to everyone who's come in. SK Makers there, Handles came through, Lucan, Sophie, Tony TNT, Wors, Sharia, is that Sharia? I can't even pronounce her name, sorry. Penny, and there's a bunch of people here, man. Thanks for everyone who's coming through, but we're going to be talking about this. I kind of got distracted, but this is going to be available to watch back if you guys missed any part of the conversation, because I feel like if you just came into the conversation mid-conversation and you'll hear me saying, nah, allow Chris Brown, it's so,
context is key, man.
Yeah, exactly. So we spoke about you're doing some work with Stand By Her, the workshop. Also spoke about Hidden Gems and the In Facts podcast, and then of course Solutions. Now Solutions, it came out at the beginning of the month, but initially it was going to be coming out in June, right?
No, it was always scheduled to be. What is it now? It's May. It was
21st.
Yeah. No, it was always scheduled to be this month. It was always scheduled to be this month.
Yeah. So it's more of a. It's quite interesting because it's not just yours, but I can keep on getting more and more tracks which have that garage infusion.
Okay, that's interesting.
Started, there was a point where I'm like, oh, I'm getting so much more like garage heavy tracks because I felt like after the drill situation, everyone was just like, okay, like everyone's just satirizing drill. And also going into the summer and what's going on at the moment with the lockdown and the 21st of June and everyone's out, etc., etc. I think people need a lot of things which are upbeat. When did you put it together?
So this would have been put together last year. So in that period where, as I said, so this is from Todd Beats, who's a producer from Manchester. He's a young guy, he's only like 18, but he sent me a relentless amount of instrumentals, and this was one of them. So I probably received this, I want to say May, probably about a year ago is when I received the beat, made the song, recorded it probably about August time, and only really got it completed maybe at the end of last year or something. And that's when I was really like, okay, cool. I kind of know where and when I want this song to go out, and I kind of know who I imagine listening to this type of single, because everything I've released at the moment is so incohesive. Like I've had, as you said, this is like a garage fusion song. I've had more of a laid back R&B-ish kind of song with Seasoning. I've had a trap song with Zoka the author. So there's a lot of variation in what I'm doing at the moment. The next two singles I've got coming out at the beginning of June, actually 2 drill singles with Tells as well. So like, yeah, my mind's kind of gone all over the place, but I'm a big fan of garage. I really like what he showed me with this production. So I was like, yeah, cool. I know I need to do something on this. And funnily enough, with our conversation, this song is actually, despite it being a garage, fun, vibey song, the song is actually really about people that get too inebriated or wasted when they go out, and then they cause commotion and problems for people. So one of the bars is some of you sneak stuff for dilution. So when they take a sip, it's confusion, which is basically like you guys who put date rape stuff in women's drinks. You're one of the problems. Like what I learned from someone like Skepta is sometimes just say it so succinctly that either people are going to get it immediately or they'll listen to it a couple of times and be like, oh, that's what that means kind of thing. But just clear and to the point. And that's kind of what I did with this song. That was my intention, just clear to the point. This is what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's Solutions. It's a good wavy track.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and even though it was made sort of like you said, end of last year and stuff like that, it's really fitting for what's going on, and it covers, like you said, it's covered. I didn't hear that the first time, if I'm honest, listening back up on board, but it's been such an interesting time for music, only because of what's gone on and how it's affected people and how people put out music as well, and it's just it's an interesting time, and I know that creatives are so wild almost, that this kind of restrictions that they've had on themselves has obviously damaged them quite negatively. So it's always important to have that sort of sense of unity and understanding of yourself, because no one could ever planned for a situation like
Yeah,
this, you know, ever. Like, so
yeah.
it's interesting. Do you think, what's, no, let me simplify this. There was a topic going around a few days ago about UK music becoming stale. Do you believe that's true?
No, I don't. You know, this conversation comes up every year as well. I'm thinking, if you just listen to GRM Daily and Link Up TV, then yes, it will probably get very, very stale every year around the same point because the same thing is getting recycled by the same artist. Like, and it's not even to discredit those artists because they've got a formula that really works for them, and that is something that is sick. Well, as soon as you kind of step away from that, you'll see that there's a really good neo soul, a really good hip hop, a really good, even still grime. Like, there's still good grime artists out here, which I don't listen to grime anymore. I haven't really since I was a bit younger, but I still know that that's a world that's operating really, really well. So when people say it's stale, I just think, all right, you need to come off of your playlist, explore
Yeah.
something a little bit different, and you will find really, really good artists. Like, who was I listening? Frankie Gunn and Harvey Stew. I was listening to breathing exercises on repeat for time because I was like, I'm so happy I've discovered these artists from Brighton, and they're not small. Like, they've got a name for themselves in the world that I'm kind of operating in, which is more the UK hip hop world. But I was like, yes, this is a breath of fresh air because there's good music out there. You have to inconvenience yourself ever so slightly by coming off of your playlist or even going to fans also like on Spotify, fans also like on Spotify, and then you jump into a whole new world and you never know.
You
So
said
I agree.
earlier performing in Amsterdam. What's the reception like working in and performing and interacting musically in places like Amsterdam and Berlin and these kind of places? And Sweden's another one, really.
I've not done Sweden, but I did, yeah, so I did Amsterdam this year. I'm sorry, last year. And I also did Outlook Festival end of 2019 as well. And yeah, like there were two very different settings. So Outlook was a festival, big stage. I think I was with Grime Originals and they had a crowd of maybe like 2,000 odd people or something. So that was interesting because the reception was sick, not just for me, but whoever was on the stage. Like people were there to hear just bars, grime, everything like that, which was nice. And then Amsterdam was like a smaller, intimate setting, which was in a hostel, but they had a performance area and stuff. And the audience were from all over the world because there's one of those hostels where people come from Egypt, Italy, Brazil, like speaking to some of the people in the audience, America, they're all saying, yeah, I'm from here, from here, from here. But the reception was good. Like we had really good positive reinforcement, which is why something like 2020 was so frustrating because the plan was, you know, every quarter go out to somewhere in Europe and try and build on that kind of trajectory. But yeah, unfortunately, obviously, what happened has happened and it's hindered that. But it was good to see. I even started doing a song with a German guy, a German artist, not too long ago as well, who was, you know, he was on the same wave. So I think maybe this year has helped me just see that I can work and still see some sort of results outside of London, outside of the UK, because I also went to America end of 2019 and same thing, a lot of positive reinforcement when I was in New York.
I think there's definitely a big demand in Europe as just interacting with people I know from Europe. They're big
Mm,
fans of music in general, and they know, of course, all the bait artists and stuff. But their sound, the sort of up and coming UK artists, they're familiar with their sound as well,
yeah,
because some of they have their own. Especially, I think is it Germany? Germany have their own kind of SBTV, for example,
so,
and it's crazy to see how many platforms they have in Italy, Sweden,
mm.
um, Italy,
France is the
Sweden,
big
Germany.
one.
France as well, yeah. France trap is massive, like really, really massive
Huge.
at the moment.
Yeah,
And France trap and French drill, and essentially we sometimes forget that the grind dailies, the SBs, the link ups, these platforms do exist, and they're pretty much the same, just in another country and in another language.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's interesting because even though you may not be able to understand the language, the vibe is the same, the beat is similar. Something it has that familiarity that you already
yeah.
listen to. I think that's a massive thing, and that's what really draws in Europeans into the UK music scene. I found anyway. So
Yeah, no, I actually like anytime I hear French drill, French trap, I'm always like, yeah, this is sick. Like I never really go to it myself because I don't know the artist to look for. But when I hear it, I'm always like, yeah, these lot know what they're doing. It's cold. And their Afrofusion are cold.
yeah, it's massive. So the single's out already. It's on Spotify,
Dope.
iTunes,
That's
and
right.
all
All of
the
that
levels.
stuff.
What are you going to be doing now that we have things open up, venues open up especially? Are you going to be looking to do an additional event apart from the one that you did yesterday, but in the flesh?
Most likely, yeah. Most likely, but I'm not sure when and I'm not sure where. What I've noticed is quite a few people are doing shows in the Jazz Cafe at the moment, which is quite cool to see because that is one of those venues that I've always been like, yeah, I want to do a proper performance in here. I performed there once as part of like a showcase, but I'm like, yeah, that's one spot that I'd love to do. But if I'm totally honest,
Mm.
I just want to keep making music at the moment. That's what I want to do. I want to keep making music and then feel I have enough fresh material so that when I touch a stage next, it feels brand new. It doesn't feel like I'm having to dig into my archive to save the length of a set. I want to be able to do an hour with fresh material that I've not performed before, basically. And obviously still have some of the older stuff that I can go into if I want to. But yeah, that's why I've not really like set a date or anything like that, or even looked for venues at the moment. Plus, we don't know what's going to happen if I'm honest, man. So yeah, we don't know.
It's mad because I heard something today about they can you can basically party indoors, but you're not allowed to DJ because DJs have to stay a certain distance from people singing or something. I was just like, I don't know what the fuck this is, but
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard that, and thank God
put
I
you
haven't
on,
heard that.
on Boris, fucking hell, Boris, Jesus.
Yeah, man, just let us go, man.
This, I don't know. Like, to be honest, I've just experienced it in two different countries at the moment, so I don't know what's going on, to be honest. Because
What's it like where you are?
well, it's the reverse of what London was. So basically, where I am, they shut everything at 5. The gyms are now shut, and you have to wear a mask in the street and in a shop. But because we're amber technically, but in the UK, when I left, things were opening back up, gyms were opening back up. But when all of that was shut in London and the UK, it was open where I am now.
Okay,
So
fair enough. Yeah,
it's of I can't really get too cocky about it because I was getting cocky about gym's still open, you guys. You ain't got a gym, and now they've shut my gym. So uh,
yeah. Is that because it's
yeah.
getting worse there or something? Or
Well, they said it's gone to amber now, but to be honest, it's been red, and I've been strolling around like I haven't seen people riot. To be honest, I haven't seen people rioting in the streets or anything like that. And
yeah,
then I've gone to London and I've strolled around Sainsbury's without a mask, and people aren't pinning me down. So I'm like, okay. And then I'm walking into Costa, and I'm like, aren't things supposed to be shut here? What's going on? And
yeah,
I'm around. I'm like, okay, if you say so, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. I think you know what. To be honest, like I say to everyone, it's that it's such a unique situation. It's a pandemic, but all I will say is this: is that I didn't need Boris to tell me to wash my hands, so
Fam,
I was doing that from the longest. So
fam.
it is
When
what
that
it is,
was
man.
the initial instructions, I thought this is a joke. He didn't. That's
Yeah,
why I didn't take it serious at first because I thought, what, wash my. You don't think I've been doing that? How many of you are not doing that? That's what
yeah.
I just thought. I thought you lot are
And then
nuts.
hear that people don't take showers for like 3 days. I'm like,
Yeah, and there were people proud saying it with chest as well. I thought, yeah, we're different. We're just different
I
people,
stand
man.
next to the guys on the train probably. You know, when
Probably.
they're holding the bar, you're like,
That's why every time you come off the tube,
poppers
wash your
off,
hands, man.
and
Oh
you're like,
man, I bet you don't miss that at all.
I've got a beach down the road from me, so I'm kind of good. But I'm gonna be coming back to London soon. But I think the experience I've had over here has been really beneficial to my career. So I
Sick.
think that's gonna that's gonna really impact me come back to London. And it's kind of perfect because I left in August
Okay.
when everything was still kind of everything.
Everything was
That's
all
when
rightish then, wasn't it? And
yeah,
then
but
it kind of
everything
shut down around November.
working from home, doing this, and a lot of the industry that I work in, which is more like a mix of hospitality and events and presenting, etc. Some of
Mm.
that was shutting down because of this. So I took this opportunity and came over here. Now, by the time I'm coming back, it seems like they're opening it up for me. So
Yeah. Come on, it's all for you, man. That's why we're doing it.
it's all good, man. It's all good. I did think so. I did wonder why me and Boris are so cool. So same hairstyle.
Put in
Yeah.
a
So
word for us. Come on.
yeah, it's been interesting, but yeah, you know what? In all seriousness, it's been an experience, and for me, it's I imagine like even with yourself, you probably learned new things about you, probably being a bit more appreciative and expressing a lot more gratitude to things that we could do pre-pandemic, and just making full use of those. And that's what we need to take from it, really, and just understanding what keeps our mental health strong.
Yeah, 100%.
But a big part of that is interacting with people face to face, incorporating physical health in there, and yeah, those are the two biggest things I feel that really, cripple people in a way, because we didn't really think too much of it. How many times have you cancelled on plans, for example?
Yeah, that was light. Yeah, I was a flaker. I can't lie.
Yeah.
I was always flaking, but
and we're going petrol station. Yeah, I'm on it. Let's go. Like, so it's good. It does make you really appreciate your friends and family more, though, for sure. So hopefully everyone has come out of it, not too traumatized or not too damaged on it, or not too, financially desolate and the rest. But all we can do is wait and see and just make use of this. And if you try to shut us down again, I'm not going to have it. So that's what I'm going to do.
That's the sentiment that I'm hearing, like from businesses, especially independent businesses. A couple of them said, "Look, if it happens again,
well,
maybe they can't afford
to Portugal for Afro." Yeah, I think a lot of people now, they've opened up a lot.
I've got a ticket for that.
Are you gonna go?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Like, only yesterday. Yeah.
You know, I heard who heard
Go on, say.
who I woman.
Who?
Chris Brown.
Yeah, he's a headliner.
Yeah.
Apparently.
So it's funny we spoke about Chris Brown and
yeah, I know. Come full circle, innit? Yeah.
But I know that obviously a lot of things has been pushed back to September. Wireless and everything else has been pushed. Have you noticed what they're doing with wireless?
What, making it very, very like UK rap heavy kind of thing?
No, they're moving the location. Have you seen how fast they're moving the location? It used to be in Hyde Park, then Finsbury Park.
Yeah, then it was Finsbury Park. Where is it now?
Crystal Palace.
Myth.
Now, as the lineup has got more UK rap, it's gone further and further out from central London. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, that's a myth. Because I remember one year it was in Stratford, and I remember this. I was like, "Oh, this is perfect." Because who was there? Snoop Dogg was there. Justin Timberlake, Jay-Z, I think was maybe. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. It keeps like edging further away. And to be honest with you, myth.
There's people saying that it's going to jump the fence. And that's why go around there. So I don't know. But there are some good festivals coming up, which I'm really excited for as well. No Limit Festival is one of them. I don't know when Outlook is now. It's just Strawberry.
Yeah,
I did Strawberries and Cream. When did I do Strawberries and Cream? 2019, I think.
When you say you did it, you mean like you were DJing?
I spoke to artists there. That was pretty cool. So we spoke to Young T and Bugsy, Big Tobes. Who else down there? Morrison, who's having a great year at the moment. Fantastic. Having Dutch of Ellie wasn't there. That was the same year, but no, I tell you, Dutch was 2020, and now I have no recollection of doing that interview whatsoever.
Yeah, that never happened. Never ever happened. Exactly. Keep it clean, man.
That?
Who?
No, fella. Sorry, I don't know that guy. Hey, not familiar. It's on your page. No. Fake news, mate. Fake news. But this is, I think, I'm going well off topic, but basically, I think it's so interesting now how I was on YouTube the other day, and 6 months ago, Dutch had 20 million views. Dutch was a man 6 months ago, and now he's not the man, but he's still getting 2 million views. And this is what I mean about the clout thing and about the monetization, is because I've spoke to platforms, and I have this interview with Dutch, and he talks about some of the things that he was speaking about. So, if you want to put it out, you can. And some of them are like, "Oh yeah, everyone's still fucking with Dutch." I'm like, "Well, I'm to cancel." And
remember, it doesn't exist, that cancel stuff, man.
1 million, 2 million, 4 million views on his last each of these videos that have come out. Somehow, that doesn't strike me as someone who's cancelled, if I'm honest.
Yeah, from all I know, you don't get cancelled unless, unfortunately you pass away or you actually get locked up or whatever. That's the only way I've ever seen that kind of happen. Otherwise, it's people are angry for the moment, but anger is an emotion and anger dissipates after a while. So then And because of algorithms, things pop up on your thing that you might not even say you want to see, but then you see it and you enjoy it, and it carries it. And that's another reason why me and socials, we just don't get on very much, because yeah, it feels like a lot of that stuff gets imposed on you. Like I've never really listened to Dutch like that anyway, not because he's not good or whatever, but it just didn't grab me, kind of thing. So again, I'm not really aware of like how well or not he's doing, but I just know that he did, as you said, have a huge fan base. So it's almost impossible that all of those people are going to stop listening to him or not.
And ironically, a lot of it is in Europe. And to be honest, the guys that I spoke to in Europe, they don't really give a shit about that. They're still fucking with his music. I was on the beach to go, and they're fucking blasting out fucking, what's that new one? Anyway, his new tune, I can't remember what it's called, but they're rumors, ironically. So they're blasting out his things, and I'm like, okay, people don't. You can't really. My friend is like, you can't really do that in ends. I'm like, what is someone going to tell you? Is someone going to come over and say, don't play Dutch? You got to remember, at the end of the day, we're British. We don't really have that kind of.
Yeah. Everyone's very polite. Like, it
like
wouldn't really happen. But yeah, it's one of those. You have to be mindful, 100%, because there are certain places where people will definitely tell you to turn it off. But yeah, I'm not here to tell anyone what to do or what not to listen to and stuff.
Well, yeah, people need to stop listening to R. Kelly and Michael Jackson and all these other guys, then I guess as well. But
everyone, man.
So it's just I can't get into it, man. I'm gonna
no.
keep my headphones. Stay tuned.
Yeah, don't let anyone see what your Spotify is saying.
Yeah,
is that the plan?
So that's it. But I should let you go, man. I've actually kept you here a lot longer than actually initially planned.
Cool, man. Had a good chat,
good man, and I look forward to putting the single on a playlist when I update the playlist over the next couple of days. And yeah, man, I hope everything works out in the sense of building forward, writing more music, putting more music out. I'm looking forward to hearing it. And yeah, man, it's good chat, man. Got deep.
Yeah, we had a good one. Definitely. What if I was to send you more stuff? What's the vibe that you're most into at the moment?
At the moment, I'm into a lot of rap, but I'm formulating a sort of R&B, soul, alternative music playlist as well, and I need a lot more stuff for that. So if you have stuff more fitting to that, that'd be really good, because there's so much. There's R&B, but I'm looking for something which is a bit more like Kehlani, fucking Mahalia, that kind of sound, or like a Janae Aiko sound.
Yeah. So that not quite like that new neo soulish kind of touch. Yeah, I got a tune. Yeah, I got a tune.
Because that's the one I feel like I need to really, really plump up, man. That R&B and soul, but it's so tricky now because the speed that music gets released, a lot of rap is getting released, a lot of drill, a lot of hip hop lands in my inbox time. So I'm really looking forward to getting some more R&B on the playlists as well. So
I can send you, even not even my own music, I can send you a few different artists like Monife, who just got mentioned there. In fact, she's cold, very, very cold R&B singer. I think you'd like based on the names you said, innit?
Cool, perfect. We can sort that out, man, and we'll talk about it. That's a good talk, man.
Yeah, man, I had a good time.
Big shout out to those who came in. And if you want to watch it back, you can. It'll probably be on, I was about to say iTunes, Instagram, and probably pop it up on YouTube as well. I'll let you guys know. Once again, Solxtions is out now. So if you are my followers and you're in here, give Lemzi a little click, give him a follow, and get a listen to his stuff. It's on Spotify, it's on everything as well. It'll be on the playlist in a couple of days, so make sure you take it out. Thanks to everyone who was commenting as well in the chat as well. Really appreciate your interaction as well. We are noticing it, but we're so deep in it.
Yeah, we're engrossed there.
Yeah, so but we, it's a good thing. So and shout out to Sophie as well. Yeah, for hooking
actually
us up.
Creating this. Yeah, thank you. Big up Sophie, and big up my sister Sophie, who's in here as well. And
I'll let you go, and thanks again, man. Take care.
Yeah, man. Look after yourself. Peace, man.